This plant is just about done blooming, but I want to show it to you anyway. This is called a clove currant. It's a native currant bush. You can see the flowers when they're in full bloom. They have a wonderful aroma that you can smell from literally hundreds of feet away. And they will have a black currant that ripens in August that isn't as pungent in flavor as the European currants. And the leaves are very pretty, as you can see, and they turn really pretty colors in the fall. So I think this has 3 seasons of aesthetic interest, including loaded with the black berries in August. So here's another edible bush, another native. This is Aronia, also known as chokeberry, because the black berries that ripen late in August and September are very astringent until you cook them, and then they're quite delicious. Very dark berries, very high in antioxidants, and again, a native shrub. That the only thing that is a problem with this shrub is deer love it, which is why I have this protective cage around it. Well, these are wild strawberries, by the way. I just let them come in and take over my bed as a ground cover, and they'll be producing berries next month in June. Okay, these are magnificent bushes. This is another native bush. This is called a high bush cranberry, and it's starting to flower. It loves the wet. So if you have a wet spot in your yard and you have room for about a bush that's maybe 10 by 10 feet, this whole area has a water table that's like at the surface of the ground. And these guys are so happy here. It will have berries starting to turn in August. They're very much like cranberries. They need to be hit by several frosts before they soften up enough to harvest. And then they're very, very tart. So you need to process them like you would a regular cranberry. You can make sauce or use them in baked goods. So this is an autumn olive bush. It's another nitrogen fixer. They are considered invasive in zone 5 and above, hardiness zone 5 and warmer. So I would be very cautious about planting these. And if you do, you should net them before the berries form. They fix nitrogen. They have delicious berries that ripen late in the season, like October into November. The birds love the berries. That's how they spread. So you need to net them when the berries form. But meanwhile, they have a lovely aroma. They fix nitrogen. They have edible berries. What could be better? Okay, this is another tree that has edible flowers. It's just about done. This tree was completely covered with these tiny pink blossoms about a week ago, and most of them have fallen off, but this is called a red bud. It fixes nitrogen. The flowers are edible, and they taste like peas. The pea pods are edible when they first form, and it's, as you can see, it's a lovely tree. It has these beautiful heart-shaped leaves that start out reddish and turn a lovely green and then yellow in the fall. And look at the trunk. It's so beautiful, even in the winter. This is a lovely specimen tree for your yard. This is another native tree. It's very close to a black locust, and look, but it has, instead of white flowers, it has these lovely pinkish purplish flowers, which are edible. The tree fixes nitrogen, and it will grow very tall. It can grow to be 40, 50 feet tall. Fixes nitrogen, has very hard wood that's good, has very good for burning in fence posts. It doesn't rot. And just a variation on the black locust, which has white edible flowers. Garlic mustard. It's considered invasive. It's in bloom now. If you don't want it to spread, you better cut all these blooms off and get rid of them before they go to seed and spreads for you. But I left it because you may not realize this. The leaves are super edible. They have a very mild, garlicky, mustardy flavor. They're very tender, and it's a wonderful food. So I left it here, and plus the blooms are attracting beneficial insects. So there's some positives, even though it is considered invasive. These are so lovely. So these are called English daisies, or lawn daisies. And they're these tiny little daisies that are edible. The leaves are edible too. They will tend to self-seed. You can see some seed heads already here. So I'm hoping they'll start spreading around. They're not super hardy for my zone, but some of them have survived. And I just think they're so lovely. You can put them in salads, you can put them on sandwiches, you can use them for garnish. Just a lovely edible plant.